Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to bring attention to an upcoming free-to-play first-person shooter game, X-Defiant. Currently, X-Defiant is having what they call an insider session during the weekend, where they can stress test the servers, matchmaking, and give reports of any other bugs and hitches that may show up. They are also taking in any other kind of feedback from the gunplay, the time to kill, and the overall feel of the game. So, if you're able to, definitely give this game a shot. You do need to get a code from Ubisoft to play it. Your best chance is probably through Twitter and looking through the official X-Defiant Twitter account or the X-Defiant Discord. One last thing before we continue on, this insider session is currently under NDA, which means I cannot show any footage of the game in its current state. However, I can talk about the game without any real restraint. For those unaware, X-Defiant is an arena shooter being developed by a team at Ubisoft. When X-Defiant was first announced, it was under the Tom Clancy banner. And looking at the artistic style, the gameplay elements, it was anything but Tom Clancy. Outside of the game not fitting the Tom Clancy moniker, the game wasn't really winning anyone over with its gameplay. However, all that has changed. The game is now just called X-Defiant, the art style is slightly different, and the gunplay feels great. To set the stage, it is an arcade shooter, but unlike the more recent versions of Call of Duty, the time to kill in X-Defiant is noticeably longer. With this said, the current build does have some netcode and server issues, so the time to kill does feel inconsistent at times, and it's hard to nail down the reason as to why. Whether it's because of the character ability, the damage range of a weapon, or the netcode, or all of the above. At the same time, the time to kill is not frustratingly long like you may see in Overwatch or Apex Legends. Aiming down sights is snappy and responsive, and the weapons have recoil to learn and master, and movement feels satisfying but not over the top. Even with this being an early build of the game, it is very well optimized. Using a RTX 2070 GPU and playing the game at a 1080 resolution, I can easily hit 144 FPS. There may be some frame drops here and there, but nothing that has been noticeable to me in my own experience. All in all, this game is a breath of fresh air from the clunky and campy gameplay that is Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 at this time. Thematically, this game does still borrow the factions and abilities from other Ubisoft titles, such as the stealth suit that is tied to the Echelon faction from the Splinter Cell games, as well as the automated spider bot from the DedSec faction in Watch Dogs. What feels great about this game so far is that the rules are not limited, so everyone can use whichever ability they want. And the abilities don't feel so overpowered that they ruin the experience. There is only one ability where a character can self-heal back to full health. Every character does heal back to full health over time, but this one can do so near instantly. There is a slight delay when using any kind of ability. Against an average player, this ability doesn't seem to be that broken or difficult to counter, and one of the better counters against a character like this is using a hard-hitting weapon like a shotgun or a sniper rifle or a marksman rifle. Another good ability I've been using as of late is a shield ability. It's large enough to make a difference and really does help with pushing the front line. So long as you don't get rushed or flanked, it can prolong gunfights and give your team a chance to turn the game around. While each ability does have a purpose and it's very useful to win, it doesn't feel like an Overwatch situation, where you must have this one ability in order to win the game. Since every player has the same amount of health, the abilities can give you an edge but not an outright win. In this case, the game leans more closer to Valorant than it does Overwatch. If your team is hitting their shots, you won't really need to rely on your own special ability to win the round. Now, about gunplay. I am a stickler for gunplay to feel snappy, smooth, and rewarding, especially in an arcade game, and well, X-Defiant is very close to that. This build is rough around the edges, so a lot of what I say and experience will more than likely be changed by the next available build. For now, I've been having fun using assault rifles as it's been the most consistent weapon type for me. For SMGs, you do get better mobility as you would expect, but I haven't really been enjoying them that much. With the time to kill being longer than most games, SMGs kind of are in a weird spot of sacrificing damage in order to move faster. As arcadey as the game feels, movement hasn't really been that big of an issue. There are weapon attachments that help with damage range, recoil control, ADS times, and so on, and most if not all attachments have a downside to them. Even so, the attachments are minor buffs to the weapons, so the damage drop of an SMG isn't going to change enough to make it work well past 20 meters. And putting speedy attachments on a high recoil, high damage rifle is only going to make things harder to control. With that said, the assault rifles in particular have been very versatile and are useful across all ranges. Going back to the other class of weapons, there are shotguns and LMGs. Both are the weapon types that I refuse to use so long as I can avoid it. However, I did test them out in the game and they're fairly solid. The shotguns do have the capability to one-shot kill at close ranges up to 10 to 15 meters. However, they have limited ammo capacity and a slow rate of fire, so if they miss 1 or 2 shots, they're done for. It's about as much risk-reward as we can expect from using shotguns. Personally, I would be fine if they were removed altogether, but what can you do? They're very powerful, but very limiting. For LMGs, they're fun to shoot and don't feel overly heavy or clunky. They have great recoil control, with the drawbacks being that they will be slower than the typical ARs, and the slow reload times will be tough to work around. Outside of that, they'll be fine to use, and they don't seem overpowered at all. And finishing off the list, there are also DMR and sniper rifles. DMR rifles are hard-hitting with heavy recoil. They are 2-shot kill to the torso or to the head, so if you can line up your shots and hit moving targets, you can be a menace. However, the slow rate of fire and the recoil will be difficult to control and work around. For sniper rifles, they can be very scary, but also not that bad to play against. Currently, the smallest optic you can put on a sniper is a 4x optic. The zoom that the magnified optics have are very noticeable and a little disorienting for me. But I'm kind of fine with it for now, because sniper rifles can one-shot kill at long distances with a body shot. A headshot is not required unless the enemy has extra health. So hitting your quick scopes or playing way far out are your only options. Trying to play this in a mid-range fight, 15 to 20 meters, is difficult for me. If they don't change the damage of the snipers, I'm fine with having this weapon class be limited to these long-range optics to prevent them from being a problem up close. Time will tell if we need the snipers to be one-shot headshot only, or if the one-shot body shot isn't a problem. All in all, XDefiant is shaping up to be a very solid arena shooter, and for once I don't have to worry that much about the core gameplay. With it being free to play, we'll have to see how much that hurts the overall gameplay experience, and how long it would take to unlock the weapons and the attachments, and we don't really know that part of the game just yet. The only other thing that worries me about this game, outside of a working anti-cheat, is how is it going to stick out. Games like Overwatch and Apex Legends have notable characters that players can attach themselves to. If XDefiant can bring in characters with notable personalities and ways to customize them, that may be just enough to keep some players interested. I'm curious to see if they're going to expand upon the lore or the story of the game, if there are any, as to why these factions are working together, what's the situation that's putting them in the same place. It doesn't need to be deep, but just something that can bring in interest, as well as a way to create a seasonal event that would bring players back month after month without it just being a battle pass. As for me, I'm sold on this game. If they continue this path, clean up the bugs, polish the animations, and come up with some meaningful ways of progression that does not hinder gameplay or game balance, there's no reason for this game to fail. The gameplay XDefiant is currently offering is closer to what Call of Duty players want, that they cannot get right now in Modern Warfare 2. Now, we don't have a release window as to when we can expect the game to come out. If this game comes out during the summer, say late July into August, it's going to have a few solid months of engagement from players who are either caught up with their battle passes from other games, and players like myself who just haven't been enjoying the current experience other games are offering. There is going to be another full-price Call of Duty game coming out later this year being developed by Sledgehammer. If Sledgehammer is smart and they've been paying attention to the feedback players have been making, they may end up making a very solid Call of Duty in their own right. If XDefiant is released around that same time, it will most likely get drowned out. I know there's still a lot of work to be done, but in regards to a release window for this year, if it's even possible, it's a very small window that they would have. Now, we have seen another game that had multiple alpha and beta tests for a year or two before the game was released. Funny enough, it was also another Ubisoft game, this one being Rainbow Six Siege. So believe me when I say, I have no clue when to expect this game. But in my opinion, it would need to be released when nothing else is happening. Even though it is free to play, even though it may have better core gameplay, releasing it anywhere near the release window of a Call of Duty would be a really bad move. I know I would play it regardless, but I don't know how many others would. I would love to see this game take off and be able to find a group to play this game with daily and go up the ranks. We'll have to see what the future awaits for XDefiant and if it can find a way to be relevant and not just a small spark in the free-to-play space. Let me know what you think about XDefiant, if it's something you're interested in or if you're still on the fence with what this game is. If you got this far and enjoyed the video, please give this video a like and consider subscribing. Until then, I am Mr. Rain, and I will see you next time.